in this very special edition of the BD Footy Wrap Up, we're going to wrap up all the action from Gather Round. Hear more about the late game controversy between Carlton and Fremantle. Did we see the best statistical game of any player in 2024 during Gather Round? Did St Kilda win the impossible? And if so, how did they do it? And many more. Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video. And today, as I said, this is the BD Footy Wrap Up Gather Round edition. So if you guys are AFL fans, this is not the week for you. That'll be next week. So I thought to myself, it's time to obviously, of course, I was a bit slack with last year with content with Gather Round. So I thought, do something different and do a special episode of the BD Footy Wrap Up for Gather Round. So of course we've got many topics to get to. It might be a quicker episode this week. So we'll get it. So in terms of topics here, as I said, I'll do the injuries and suspensions that came out of Gather Round. Also, how did St Kilda win the impossible against Richmond at Norwood Oval? Did we see the best statistical game from a single player in 2024 on Saturday night? And also my opinion on the Carlton Fremantle late game controversy. So let's get straight into it, and let's get straight into the big story that came out of Gather Round, and that was the Carlton Fremantle game. And more specifically, the end of the game there. So if you guys hadn't watched it, and actually, by the way, I actually watched 8 of the 9 Gather Round matches. The only match I didn't watch was, ironically, the last game of Gather Round between Hawthorn and Collingwood, which I will watch eventually because I have to do a match review on it, which I haven't done the notes for that. So notes for that yet. So, well, obviously, yeah. But anyway, so what happened was, with about 5 minutes to go, by this stage, Fremantle had led by 9 points. They were dominant for all this game. They dominated all this game, and dominated for most of the game. They were in front for most of the game, and it was 9 points, and then I think it was hang on for a second. Excuse me. So they were pretty much it. So I think Carlton was about 3 or 2.5 minutes left. They kicked a goal to make it back to 3 points. And it looked set with about a minute to go, and that Fremantle could potentially, with the good defence they have got, with the likes of Pearce, Ryan, Clark, all these sort of guys, could potentially hold up and win the game. Unfortunately, the Blues had one last roll of dice with about a minute left, and the kick came in, and apparently it brushed the back of the neck of James H. And then it went straight into the hands of Matthew Cottrell, which was the reward of the mark, to the obvious dissatisfaction from the Freo players, saying it's touched, but the thing is they can't do anything about it. Let's put it that way. So then Matthew Cottrell kicks the goal, puts them in front, and all think at least Fremantle will kind of have a chance with its with the guys such as Brayshaw, Sarong, Fife to get one last clearance, maybe get inside their forward 50 for someone like Walters or Amos or someone like that could possibly get a chance to be a hero for the Dockers. Until I heard a whistle and apparently I did hear the umpire say free kick. When I was watching this, say free kick. I was like, well, hang on, there's another free kick being paid here. And it was paid for umpire dissent. So basically, and there was a lot of discussion, pretty much. And at the end, Matthew Kennedy took the kicked the goal, game over. They won, and they ended up winning the game. Ended up winning the game. No, ended up winning the game by 10 points. So basically, in 5 minutes, there was a 19-point swing in 5 minutes of play because I said Fremantle were in front by 9 points with 5 minutes left, and then they ended up losing the game by 10 points. But let's not talk about that specifically. Let's talk about what happened in the late game thing. So, and it eventually came out that we were all wondering who's the one that dissented the umpire. The main everyone was talking about was Josh Treacy apparently because where he was standing, that's where I think Matt Kennedy took the shot, but apparently it was Jordan Clark. Apparently, that wasn't. It was the most unhappy about it, which caught the eye of the umpire. And basically, that's when the dissent free kick came along, and apparently it came out about 3 days later. I think midweek. Midweek. I think it was in. It was reported, or rumor was reported that an interview that was conducted by Alex Pearce, apparently he there said that he asked the umpire, he asked the umpire what he said, and the umpire said, I didn't hear what he said. So he basically didn't know what he said, but he offered the free kick for dissent anyways. So yeah, but you could clearly tell that it was a hard call. But on one side of the coin, I can definitely tell why the Freo players were a bit pissed off about it. You could just tell, because 50-50 call. But on the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin, I just hark back to saying, at the end of the day, Fremantle shot themselves in the foot big time. That's all I come back to. They shot themselves in the foot big time, giving up a 9-point lead with 5 minutes left, with the defensive supremacy that they had over the likes of their small forwards in particular, with Colonel and Mackay. Which they had their moments, but they weren't that really damaging, unlike they have been in the last 3 or 4 games. Did Colonel and Mackay, but the defensive supremacy, and then suddenly it just collapsed, and they just and that dissent free kick after the Cottrell goal just rubs salt into the salt that's already in the wounds. So yeah, and even Justin Longmuir in his post-match presser said, the players still after they went into the rooms still were complaining about it, but it suggests to move on, which it is true. Which is true. It happened. Those things happened and moves on. I do agree about the captain's call suggestion that everyone's been throwing around recently. And I know NRL fans will probably be saying, "Oh, it's another thing you guys are going to steal from us." Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we just have to because and technology is freaking in AFL. The technology that is at our disposal is freaking limited as all hell. Let's put it that way. But the one thing, and other people criticising, and everyone's saying, oh, it's a robbery, it's saying it's touched. And the umpire, and claiming abuse of the umpires. Well, on the flip side of the coin here, I even said this myself when live. I trusted I would love to have Fox Footy in that if the exact same situation happens again, show in real time for us fans. For example, if it's me, if it happened to my team, Essendon, for example, we're receiving end of this, the same thing as Fremantle, have one slow-mo and then followed up by a real-time slow-mo, not real-time slow, a replay in real time is to what happened, and then you go, then judging fans to basically make a decision then and there, because otherwise you'll become an umpire. Pretty much, and you can't, yeah. That's what I said numerous times. I said I challenge anyone to watch that bit of replay footage that they saw that Fox Footy showed in full speed for everyone, and then make the call, and then for fans to make your call. Then you rethink abusing the umpires. Well, yeah. So yeah. But as I said, really, the Freo just shot themselves in the foot big time with that, because they were in a dominant position. I mean, 9 points up with 5 minutes left. That's basically, I know it's not like impossible to lose, but but at the same time, you can't lose from that. You can't. It's like being. It's like being in soccer, like being 2-0 down, like being 2-0 up with about 5 minutes left. With about 3 minutes left of added time left in the second half, and you lose 3-2. Well, we all know that added times now are ridiculously long nowadays. So yeah, in soccer, but that's that sort of thing. So it's like that in a way, where you like, or more appropriately, you're like 1-0 up with about 1 minute of added time left, and you concede 2 goals in the last minute to lose the game. It's like that in a lot of ways. You're it's not impossible to lose in that situation, but you just cannot lose in that sort of situation. And Fremantle did do that. They had Carlton on the ropes for all that game, and it's the problem with a defensive-minded game style. You can't. You focus a lot on defense that you can't score enough to basically win the game. You just can't. So it's all in good having great key defenders and great defenders in that, which is cool in a lot of ways. But you need the offense. You need the forwards to do something. And Freeman and yes, I've been waxing lyrical in the last 12 to 18 months about Jai Amos and that, but at the same time, and also so to think, and it's a shame because speaking about Nat Fyfe, the 2-time Brownlow medalist, he probably had his best game in years on Saturday afternoon. I mean, he had sort of like 20, nearly 30 touches, like something back to his old best as well, and also added to the likes of, as I said, with Andy Brayshaw and Caleb Sarong. And to be fair, and for Fremantle, who's going to be that Dustin Martin type of player that could go in the midfield and then go forward and kick goals? I don't think that Fyfe can. I think he can, but he doesn't have the accuracy for him to do it. To do that, Brayshaw and Sarong can't. Let's put it that way. Walters mainly is used down forward, not in the midfield anymore. So I don't see anybody else doing that. So That's what they need. And they need that spark up forward, because it seems like to me that the guys that could produce that spark, like Walters, like the only one that could do that is probably Michael Frederick, and he's going to be out for about a couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. So it's like the question is where they're going to get that spark from. That's the problem here because we don't. It's all in good having a great defense. Like they're probably up there with Melbourne with the best defense in the league right now. I mean, you got the likes of Liam Ryan in career best form. You got Alex Pearce in career best form. Who else is there? Who else is there? Let me check out their lineup with Gather Round. Hang on. Let's see fixture. Let's go down here. Oh, I've missed it. Okay. Here we go. So, many like James Aish, at James Aish as well. Josh Draper, who did a very good job, his second game, did a very good job on Charlie Curnow. Jordan Clark, if you take out, of course, him giving away the descent free kick, he was great. He was great as well. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's just, you know, it's all. As I said, it's all in good having one of the best key defenses in the league, but it needs to get the scoreboard ticking over, and with a forward line such as like the likes of Walters. Like the Walters, Frederick, he's out. Of course, I said Switkowski, Jai Amos. You got Matt Tamada, who's a bit inconsistent. Josh Treacy, we still don't know what his capabilities like as a forward. Switkowski as well, and of course Michael Walters, who's in the twilight of his career. I mean, we still don't know what that capabilities are, if you know what I mean. For most of it, so yeah, and I don't think for me, eventually he'll get there. I don't think Amos is that sort of guy that would kick against a good side. I've put it that way. Is not going to be a guy that will be kicking a bag every 2 to 3 weeks or so. That he's not. He's still a bit young for that as well. I think he's still about 21 or 22, so he's still a bit young in his AFL career for that. But Tamina should be the one that should be the experienced one that will get around Amos. But his performances are a bit up and down as well. So yeah. So at the end of it, as I said, to end this talk, as I said, I do get the captain's call. You know, talks that people are getting around. I'll be opening for a captain's call if there is an improvement to the technology. That depends on that. And to be honest, that everybody says, the umpires cost them the game. No, they didn't. Fremantle shot themselves in the foot big time. So that's what I think, because they had a 9-point lead with 5 minutes left, and they had basically a 19-point turnaround. Basically a 19-point turnaround in a space of 5 minutes, and Carlton won the game by 10 points anyway. So yeah. So moving on to what I think. I actually like on Saturday night. It was Geelong versus the Western Bulldogs. I watched that game, of course, on Saturday night, and I think, and I know we're already 4 rounds in. Well, technically 5 rounds if you count round 0, but 4 rounds in, I think I found the best performance. Excuse me, from any player, best statistical game by one player in 2024 on Saturday night. Especially in a losing side, mind you. in one Tony Liberatore from the Doggies. I mean, you can't argue with these stats. I mean, like everyone, these statistics are just absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's put it that way. For all your Bulldogs fans, just as a consolation, just listen to it. But if you're not a Bulldogs fan, just cover your ears for these stats. I mean, 35 disposals, 19 clearances. 15 of them, I think, I remember I read rightly. 15 of them were from stoppages. 28 contested possessions, 10 score involvements, 9 tackles, 5 inside 50s, 428 metres gained, and 1 goal. What more can I? As the words were said by the great Sandy Roberts, what more can you say? What more can you say? And it was almost beaten by Marcus Bontempelli as well, mind you, for his game. But I know that Bont's going to get the free Brownlow votes in this game. Probably because obviously, of course, it's the Bont. Of course, he's going to get the free Brownlow votes in that game. But I think for me, the guy for me, I would give the free Brownlow votes to in this one. It has to be Libba. I mean those stats there. 19 clearances. That is ridiculous. That is beyond ridiculous in a game. As I said, 15 of those 19 clearances were from stoppages. And then 28 contested possessions. Some players can lucky to have 28 total touches in a game, let alone 28 contested touches. And he done that in one, and Libba did that in one game. Absolutely unbelievable. And about 4 statistics. So he basically did the quadruple double, pretty much. To quote the NBA terms, in basketball terms of a triple double, that was double-figure disposals, double-figure clearances, double-figure contested possessions, and double-figure score involvements. And he was one off away from being double figures in terms of tackles as well, which could have been ridiculous. I don't know what that could have been called. I know there's a double-double, there's a triple-double, there's a quadruple-double, and I don't know what it means for the 5. I don't know what it would be like. I'm just not going to say it because I'm just going to stuff up here. But I think for me, to wrap up very quick on this one, I think that I won't be surprised really if this is find me everybody in the comments. Find me another best game, statistical game from a player that's better than this. Just I challenges all to find one. It's a fine one. Doesn't matter if it's another midfielder, it's a forward, or it's a backman. I would love to see it. But anyway, but I don't think you can beat 35 disposals, 19 clearances, 28 contested possessions, 10 scoring involvements, 9 tackles, 5 inside 50s, 428 metres gained, and a goal. So yeah. So moving on to the events from the Sunday game between St Kilda and Richmond, and this was quite an entertaining for a low scoring. Low scoring games and entertaining really don't go that well. To be honest, generally low scoring games could be a bit tense, and then normally high scoring games are more entertaining. But this low scoring game, oh boy, this was entertaining, particularly in that third quarter. And we'll get to it in a bit. But can you say that St Kilda won this game? Pretty much won the almost impossible. They were goalless. They didn't kick their first goal until a minute left in the second until half time, and basically went on to win the game by 7 points. So which is ridiculous. And I want to read you some statistics here, which is massive in terms of St Kilda and how they won the game, but also stark for Richmond as well. Suggesting how far they're behind because obviously of their injury list and so on. But yeah, so I mean, in the first half, St Kilda was -9 in disposals. They were -3 in inside 50. So it was almost the same in terms of inside 50s, but St Kilda weren't converting their opportunities. But this one was the biggest one. They were -14 in contested possession. They were -14 in contested possession, and it led to them only scoring the 1 goal 5. St Kilda scoring the 1 goal 5 at half time compared to 5 goals 3 from the Tigers. Then it all flipped around in the third term. And these ones are could just blow your mind. In terms of disposals, they were +50. St Kilda turned from being -9 in terms of disposals in the first half. In the third quarter alone, as I said, +52 in terms of disposals. So they had it all their own way in that third term. They were +13 inside 50s. They only kept Richmond to 9 inside 50s in the whole of that third term. While for them, they had 22 inside 50s. That is absolutely ridiculous. So that completely meant they had the ball on their own way, and finally in contested possessions +14. So whatever Ross the Boss said at half time clearly worked in that third quarter. And that third quarter pretty much won the Saints the game. Kicking 6-6 to 2 straight in that third term. It was just ridiculous, really, for them. And as I said, it pretty much won them the game. Pretty much, it pretty much won them the game. So to round it off here, did they win the impossible? Sort of, yeah, because of course yes, they did win the impossible. No team in modern football wins a game after being goalless for most of the first for 98% of the first half. Nobody does that in modern football. In modern football, if you're goalless up until the stroke of half time, you basically lost the game. Unless if you're St Kilda in this place. So yeah, that is probably the case for me. But and hopefully that's the confidence boost that St Kilda need going into the next couple of games. Really, it also depends on that really for them, and but I think they really need to clean up their act in terms of their game in terms of excuse me clean it up in terms of excuse me in terms of their starts. If they nail down their starts, then they're excuse me, then they're gone, then they're sorted. Let's put it that way. But yeah. So the injuries to report out of Gather Round for the Crows, Wayne Parnell is set for a long stint on the sidelines after he sublexed his shoulder. Apparently, as reported, the Crows are currently at this point weighing up treatment options for Parnell. So it will be a long stint on the sidelines. Carlton, they hope that injured midfielder Sam Walsh that he gets through training this week to hopefully to get his first game down for the year. In a terrible week for Essendon, a terrible game for Essendon, and it was made worse by their young gun in Archie Perkins injuring his hamstring late in that game, and he's going to be sidelined for at least a month, which is going to be a massive blow. And an even bigger blow is we're short on tall defenders at the moment, and to make matters worse, Jordan Ridley re-injured his quad, and is going to be out for another extended period. So that just makes matters even worse. And to make matters even more worse, speaking of re-injuring, Will Setterfield, who came back for the game against the Power after a knee injury, redid his knee and is going to be out. It's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. So we just can't take a trick really at the moment. But at least we're not like Richmond. Let's put it that way. But yeah, as I said earlier, Docker's live wire in Michael Frederick. He's going to miss this week with apparently a very low grade hamstring strain. So he's going to miss that game. There. For Geelong, their captain Paddy Dangerfield is expected to be fit to take on North Melbourne, as he's obviously recovered from the hamstring injury which he suffered in the game a few weeks ago against the Crows. For a bit of big news, really, in terms of good news, as for GWS, as they can't get enough good news at the moment because they're on top of the ladder right now, and undefeated. Let's put it that way. That their midfielder Callum Ward is expected to return for their clash against St Kilda from a shoulder injury. I think it was an AC joint. So that's good news there for them. For the Hawks, that two of their prime moves in the forward line in Mitch Lewis and Luke Brust are both sidelined with hamstring/knee injuries and a groin injury respectively. So the hamstring and knee for Mitch Lewis and groin for Brust. So they'll be out for extended periods there. For the Power, veteran Trav Boak, apparently it was confirmed by scans that he had avoided a major back injury, and I think he'll be right to play this week. In a big news, obviously, for the Power, as they also can't get enough good news at the moment after their performance in Gather Round, Ollie Wines has fully recovered from a hamstring injury and looks set to play this week. For the Tigers, the sick of injuries. The word injuries is really starting to go on the nerves down there at Tigerland. With Thompson Dow and Kane McAlfee. He I forget how you pronounce his name. Tweaked their ankles respectively, especially McAlfee. He was named as a sub, and within like 2 minutes of going on the field, he tweaked his ankle, which was unfortunate for them. And they both will be tested this week to see if they'll be fit to play the West Coast Eagles this week. For a bit of good news on the St Kilda front, Dougal Howard is set to be available after missing the start of the season with a hamstring strain, which he did in the preseason. It was a bad day on the injury front for West Coast. I mean, Keith Ford, Ivan Marrick sustained a rib injury, which unfortunately he had to be taken to hospital. as a precaution, but has since been cleared of serious damage, and we still don't know if he'll be available to play against the Tigers. But as a the Tigers, and then Luke Edwards experienced hamstring tightness, but still in the game against the Swans, but still could be available to play against the Tigers. And in good news as well, their recruit in Tyler Brockman has completed the AFL's concussion protocols and will be available to play this week against the Tigers. And one injury I forgot to point out, is that to make matters worse for Richmond, their star midfielder and Tim Taranto will be out of action for about I think it's reported about a month or two after breaking his wrist in training. So that just makes matters even worse there on that front as well. Suspensions now. Of course, Demons Live-Wire, Cozzy Pickett. It was a big week in terms of suspensions as well. Cozzy Pickett was suspended for one week for rough conduct during the Melbourne-Adelaide game. The D's obviously were contemplating appealing the decision. They eventually did decide to appeal the decision, but unfortunately it was upheld, which means it will still be, so that 1 week suspension is still there. It's still there. Carlton forward Lockie Fogarty is also suspended for 1 week for striking at Nat Fyfe. It was not surprising, to be honest, that it was suspended that he will be suspended for a week for that. And the suspension which has had the whole of the football world talking this week was Jeremy Finlayson being suspended for 3 games for saying a homophobic slur to an Essendon player. Now, that Essendon player at the moment has not been named, and I highly doubt it's going to be named, just for obvious reasons. But 3 weeks, for one side of the coin, I do appreciate the fact that Finlayson, because we see from these situations, normally players, when they do something like this, they would immediately shut their mouth and then wait for a few days after the game to basically say this to their club, and then basically carries out longer. I appreciate the fact that he actually reported this at 3/4 time of the game. Apparently this happened in the 3rd quarter, and I don't know, I can't remember what was said. I don't know what he actually said to this Essendon player, but which I don't think will ever be, because from all I heard, it's the word that you do not want, it's one of those words that you never say on a football field. Never say that. Let's put it that way. On the flip side of things, I do appreciate the fact that he went to his club straight away, 3/4 time, said, I said this, that, and this to a player. The club reported it back to the AFL, and obviously they've suspended him for 3 games. So obviously, he by 3/4 time he was very remorseful about it, and he accepted the decision of the 3 weeks. So did Port Adelaide. So and even days before the suspension got announced, Port Adelaide said whatever punishment was handed down, they're not going to challenge it, obviously. So and then obviously there was talks around about Clarkson. He said he did the same thing back in that preseason game against St Kilda, and he only got a 20 grand fine for it, and is suspended 2 game suspension, which was later suspended, which was gotten rid of, while a player obviously got a 3 game ban for it, which toes the line really. But as I said, I completely appreciate the fact that he's straight away it went in and basically got this to public attention, because most people would probably not do that. But on the flip side of things, if I said this word, that what Finlayson said happened at work, I'd be sacked. I'd be sacked, probably, most likely, on the spot. And I even heard, I remember earlier today, as I'm recording this, so I saw a TikTok, and it said, from this guy, I saw a TikTok, and it said obviously, in normal society, if you say this, you at a workplace, for example, you'd be sacked, you'll be fired, straight up. And I do agree. I do agree. If you say that, if you said what Finlayson said, you're at a workplace, at your workplace. If I did that at my workplace, I would have been sacked, probably, most likely, on the spot, and go, see you later. Yeah. So that's what I think. So yeah. So just to end it on that, I did appreciate the fact that he brought it to everyone's attention, obviously, to AFL's attention, to everyone's attention, obviously, because obviously, if it was basically someone else, that would basically shut their mouth for all that game and basically reveal it 3 days after the game. But on the flip side of things, it's one of those things you just can't say. You cannot say that in any place. It doesn't matter if it's in a workplace, or on a football field, or a sporting field, or anywhere. You can't say that. You just can't say it. So yeah. And to round off this video, obviously Gather Round, I think was a huge, it was a massive success, I think, in my opinion. I mean, yes, a tiny bit of a less crowd attendance in the overall round than it was last year. Most likely because obviously there was Thursday, Friday, there was the 2 Saturday games and the Sunday games. So yeah, but basically the Adelaide Oval games, they were packed. I mean, there was like 40,000, I think, packed for every single game at the Adelaide Oval during Gather Round, which was appreciated. There was full houses. There was almost like 10,000 for the games down at there was almost 10,000 for every game down at Norwood Oval. There was almost 10,000 for both games down at Mount Barker, and it was also announced during Gather Round that in 2025 there's going to be a game or two at the Barossa, which is exciting. I didn't know that actually that the Barossa had a football ground down there, to be honest. But yeah, so I'm very excited to see in which teams will play down at Barossa, which is going to be fantastic as well. But yeah, so I think for me, and it was also revealed as well during the week as well, that they're eyeing off these sort of games, these sort of rounds for a couple of times. Like I remember seeing, so the opening round they're eyeing, the AFL in the future is eyeing off, the opening round being in Victoria and Tasmania, which don't know why that would happen. Then you have the Easter round, which would be in Sydney, which I don't get why that would be the case. I mean you would have like it would be strange having the Good Friday game and the Easter Monday game at the SCG, for example. That'll be freaking weird as hell. Let's put it that way. But yeah, and then another one, and then the other one, which would be held at either Adelaide or Western Australia. So I just wonder here if that left me wondering here. It's left me wondering this now as I'm recording this. If because the South Australian government has a contract that Gather Round will be held in Adelaide or held in South Australia until 2027. I wonder if that. I'm interested. I'm wondering if that's a. I don't know if I should start this or whatever. Start my suspicion or a rumor or something like that. But I'm just gonna do it right now. I wonder if there's a chance that if the South Australian government decides, we're not gonna extend our deal to host Gather Round beyond 2027. I wonder if the next state to host Gather Round will be Western Australia, because it's said. You can try and find it. It said Gather Round. It said and instead Adelaide or South Australia, or Adelaide or Western Australia, as I said. I should say. So that's what I. So I wonder if that's going to be the case. But the problem is, though, where would if that is true, where would games be played in Western Australia, though? That's the problem. I mean, if a Gather Round was held in Sydney, that would make the difference, because it makes sense, because they got loads of freaking grounds. I mean, that could be AFL standard. I mean, you got Blacktown Stadium, you got Accor Stadium, you got the SCG, you got the Energy Stadium for GWS. Those type of stadiums, they still host those. So it just leaves me wondering here if the next state to host Gather Round after 2027, after its contract with the South Australia is ended, be Western Australia. That's what I think. I might be this might be nothing. It might be nothing. Probably will be nothing. But you know, it's just. It's a suggestion. It's a suggestion here. I think maybe Channel 9 is probably given up. Maybe if they're not careful, maybe it's given up maybe the potential next hosting for the 2028 Gather Round when that comes around. And when that eventually comes around, I know it's probably 4 years away, but still. So yeah. I mean, other than the backdrop of obviously, all the, the controversy surrounding the Carlton Fremantle game, and obviously the racial slurrance with Finlayson, I'm yet to watch the Collingwood Hawthorn game, but I did watch the other 8 games, and they were great. They were great. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching. I think the best game I watched, to be honest, was the Geelong the Geelong Western Bulldogs game. It was probably the far more enjoyable games I've seen this season. So that's pretty much it for this episode of the BD Footy Wrap Up, Footy Wrap Up AFL Gather Round edition. So as I said, next week we'll be returning to the old NRL AFL type of scenario, and also an announcement. Also, I will be doing it for all you NRL fans that were not happy with me doing it this week as a Gather Round. If you guys NRL fans to be happy, I will be doing the exact same thing as I did with the Gather Round to Magic Round. I will be doing match reviews on all eight Magic Round games, and also do a special Magic Round edition of the BD Footy Wrap Up to talk about news surrounding the Gather Round. So yeah, and plus and watching all the Gather Round. Sorry, wrong code. Magic Round matches would be have me solely focused on a weekend of the NRL would be great for me. It would be great for me personally, because obviously I'm all, and plus also, fun fact about me is I've actually been a fan of the NRL longer than the AFL, to be honest. I started watching rugby league back when I was about 6 or 7, and I didn't become a fan of the AFL till I was about 9. So I've been a fan longer of the NRL longer, but unfortunately, AFL kind of took over in that. So it would be nice that for one weekend, for 1 weekend only. For me, at least, the NRL's the focus. So big news, obviously, that in a few weeks, obviously, when Magic Round for NRL comes around, this type of content for that week will be basically the same. Minus the analyzer, obviously, because it's got the AFL in it. So like this video, share this to anybody who is a Carlton fan, if you're a Geelong fan or a GWS fan. Comment down below. Comment down below how did your what were your thoughts on this weekend? What were your thoughts on the Carlton Fremantle game? What were your thoughts on the whole Finlayson homophobic slur suspension? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button, which is labeled subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. But until next time, guys, I'll see you all later.